Hello and welcome to the Spec F1 Esports PS4 Elite Series here in Belgium for round 4 at the circuit Esports for the Belgium Grand Prix. My name is Expert and joining me in the commentary box for today's race is Ken Tenma.
Thanks for that delightful introduction there. Yes, we are here in Belgium for the Elite Series, a 7-kilometre long track, one of the fan favourites and a driver favourite as well. 19 corners, all with each with their little quirks. You can go up El Rouge and then you have many other fast corners, one of the highest G-force corners on the track as well. It is essential to get the car to flow nicely through here, otherwise you'll find your lap times will be dropping off. I'm pretty excited for this race. It should be a close one, nearly a full grid. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's going to be a tight one, especially a few key talking points that we'll get to after we look at your driver standings. Obviously, slipstream, strategy, and ERS fuel management are a couple of points we'll be talking about, but let's have a quick look now, as you can see on your screens, at your driver standing. Darren, 11, currently leads away at the moment, 43 points for that Alfa Romeo car. He's doing a pretty nice job at the moment, ahead of 40-22 in that Williams, currently sitting on 35 points. Then a little bit behind them is the two Red Bulls of Todsa and Aaron, so those two are doing a very good job, but also the two Ferraris right behind them of Matthew Dernier and iContrast F1. Obviously, Aaron and Matthew are both sitting on exactly the same points on 25. So this is going to be a little tight battle to watch as well during the Grand Prix. Then you have the two racing points behind them as well. Spilly and Josh M97. They're sitting on 20 and 21 points. Then it will be the McLaren driver of John Pollan and Miku in 10th. And then in P11 will be the Toro Rosso leading VRT Chapelele in P12. 13th, Lewis ahead of Samu Pepito, and rounding at top 15 will be Crossy F1 ahead of Plevs, Bullet Boy, Zach Crichton. Both the Mercedes doing a pretty poor job so far in the driver's standings. They're going to be wanting to turn that around this afternoon. Then will be Geordie in the Haas in P19, and Renier top 20 will be Swaggy for Alfa Romeo. Unfortunately, he's not where his teammate is in the driver's standings, so he's going to be looking to up or get some decent points here this afternoon. Extra Evolution P21 and Renier, your top 22 will be the good guy.
And yeah, if we can flick over the constructors standings, we have Red Bull right at the top here, but the big story is how close these constructor standings are. Red Bull on 53 points, Ferrari not far behind, 6 points, 47. Alfa Romeo 43 and Racing Point on 41. Williams 2 points behind them on 39. McLaren then dropping away on 23 points, Haas 18. Toro Rosso 17, Renault 14, and the story here is Mercedes on only 2 points. So much pressure on the dynamic duo, and they're just not getting the job done so far in the Elite Series. And each race that goes along, the pressure mounts for them to get some results and push Mercedes up the constructors' standings.
So unfortunately for them, we'll have to see if Mercedes can turn that around this afternoon. Obviously, as you said, the dynamic duo of Plevs and Zach Crichton. Obviously, Zach Crichton's been doing very well in all the other leagues, including the Pacific Series. He's currently leading the championship, so we'll have to see if he's able to turn that around. But we're going to swap over to your main screen now, as I can see the drivers are heading out for their qualifying session. They have 16 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the Belgium Grand Prix qualifying session. But let's start now real quick. Let's get your top 3 predictions here, Ken Tenma, for the qualifying session. We'll start with that. I reckon Zach Crichton's going to turn it around. I reckon he might get pole position here this afternoon ahead of 40-22. I reckon it's going to be tight between those two. And then I reckon Plevs might be just slot into P3.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Zach Crichton's, this is the race where he's going to turn his season around, and I'll have him on pole. And then I have a few other drivers that could be up the pecking order. Aaron interests me in the Red Bull. He's been improving since the very start of season 1. And then 40 is very consistent. Todsta, Extra Evolution. And Plevs, this is one of his favourite tracks, so I expect to see a decent result from him in qualifying as well.
We'll have to see how that goes for the Mercedes crew, but it looks like a couple of the majority of the drivers actually, bar Josh M97 down MP90 at the moment, are all out on track. So it is a very busy first run here from the drivers. It looks like that there's a little bit of cloud cover around the Belgium or the Circuit Esports at the moment, so we could potentially see some rain. That could be why there are a bunch of drivers out on track, but we're going to ride on board with Swaggers. He looks like he's going to be one of the, well, actually the 4th driver to start his flying lap as he heads down this short straight, the old pit straight, heading up to El Rouge and Radion. He heads now. This is turn 3, 4, and 5. As he now heads into this little right kink of turn 6. Now he heads down the camel straight. You want to take us around the rest of the lap, Ken Tenma?
Sure. So coming into the corner at the end of the straight, you want to keep it down here in 4th. And this is what I was talking about earlier in the introduction. You want to have the car flow through here. You get on the gas too early, you can easily go too wide and take a lot of fractions of seconds off your time. As he glides around that corner, nicely done. And here you want to nearly touch the wall, which he does nicely. And this is that high G-force left-hander where, although we're in sim racing, it is still hard to keep this on the track and on the limit because you need that exit speed down this straight into another flowing section. You keep the minimum speed up here. Don't touch those slippery curbs if you can. He's going to go past Bullet Boy. He's going to let him through. And that's going to get a nice exit here down the straight. And this is all about exit speed, keeping that maximum kph down this straight. And we've only got a couple of corners left. We don't really count this as a corner as it is flat. And he's going to end up here. Not sure if it's going to be quite the lap he's wanted. He's locked up a few times, especially there. And it's tricky to exit this corner here without getting wheel spin. And he's going to get it done. That's going to be a 1:43.4. Not too bad from Swaggy there.
As you can see now, VRT Chapelele currently sits on pole position for Renault with a 43.1. So that's not a bad time to start off the session. Crossy has just slotted himself into P2 as well for Williams ahead of Josh M97 in the Racing Point. I do believe this is his first race as well for the Elite Series, so he's doing a pretty good job up there for Racing Point. Extra Evolution slotted into P4 ahead of Swaggy as we just rode on board with. That is your top 5, but we do have confirmation as well that Darren 11 will be joining the race, and unfortunately he will not participate in the qualifying session. So our championship leader will be starting from the rear of the grid this afternoon. So we'll have to see what he's able to do. Miku looks like he's just finished a lap as well in the Haas. He moves himself up into P8 with a 43.6. So it is very tight at the moment between our top 8 drivers. As we just said, it is only their first run, so it's definitely going to get tighter, and the track's going to evolve as the session goes on. But real quick, let's talk about strategy. What is the optimal strategy around here, Ken Tenmo? Obviously, it can be harsh on tyre wear, especially if you do spin the rear tyres up, as it is very easy to do because a lot of these corners are very fast, and then you come to a lot of off-cambered corners as well as you head through the final sector.
Yeah, that's it. The optimal strategy generally around here is soft on the mediums, a one-stopper, but it is a track that rewards smooth driving and people who can take care of their tyres. If you can take care of your tyres, you're going to keep that minimum track lap time up, and you're going to be able to get round in the fastest time possible. If you do churn them up, you're going to slow down near the end of the race because those mediums won't last and won't get the job done for you.
As now we can see Zach Crichton's got up into P2 now for Mercedes, a 1:43.186. So the Mercedes driver looks like he's trying to return his form. As you can see, 4/100ths of a second behind the current pole position time set by VRT Chapelele. But obviously, as we've said a couple of times already, it is only the majority of the drivers' first runs. A couple of drivers will be heading out for their second runs very shortly, as there is now 11 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in the session. Let's get some predictions in the live chat as well. Thank you everyone for joining the stream as well.
Yeah, I can't quite see the live chat at the moment, so I might have to get you to read those out for us. But the pit lane is extremely busy here with everyone coming in at the same time. And people are going to have to be careful because they're wanting to set their last lap at the same time. So it's going to be quite busy on track, I think. Everyone's trying to do the same strategy.
So it looks like John Polina, is he starting up? No, he's coming into the pit. So a lot of the drivers opted to go out of the pits very quickly. So it was a very congested first run for a lot of the drivers there. They were very lucky not to get blocked, or I wouldn't be surprised if there was a driver that got blocked within that session. It looks like Contrast is on an outlap as well. So he, in that number 2 Ferrari, will be starting his second run. His first run. So he's coming out a little bit later. He's waited for everyone to set their lap time. So he's going to have some free air. We'll have to see what the Ferrari driver can do. He's been pretty consistent in this league. Hasn't had DNFs. I believe he hasn't had a DNF this season. So I'm trying to remember where he's in. I believe he was P7, but don't quote me on that. But anyway, we'll have to see what he can do as he now heads into the bus stop chicane. 2 starters that runs it ride on the entry just to get the best possible exit down the short straight. Heading into La Source, he will now head, crosses the start finish line, breaking around the 100-meter board as he does. Very easy to lock up the inside front here, especially if you turn it in too early. Straight lines the exit just to get the maximum power off the corner to run you all the way down the straight, heading down the short straight into Rouge and up Radion. He will now head. Very easy to lose a rear end as he nearly did there. He actually mounted the curb, and that kind of pulled him around the corner. Opens DRS nice and wide now. The second available DRS zone around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit as he now heads into Lake Coombe. Braking between the 50 and 100 meter board there. Through this right-hander, very easy to invalidate your time if you use a little bit too much curb on the mid-corner. Heading through this long right-hander now. This corner really rewards patience, and if you can just get into there nicely and just maintain your speed or mid-corner speed through there, you will succeed through that corner as he now heads up to Puon. Long double left-hander. Want to make sure you get to that apex, and unfortunately Contrast didn't really get to it on the first part. He got to the second part though as he now heads into the third sector, right about, actually no, it's still the second sector, the end of the second sector I should say. Didn't have any purple sectors as of yet, did the Ferrari driver, so it looks like it's just going to be a pretty simple lap here from him so far. As he now heads through this fast right-hander, very easy to put it in the wall on the left-hand side there if you run it too wide or just get in the dirty air of another driver. As he's now heading up to Blanchimont.
He has lost the rear end a couple of times, so maybe just getting a feel for the track here. And you just see him losing a little bit of traction, exiting a couple of corners, including a couple of fast left-handers. So I don't think this will be a super quick time, and he'll be kicking himself. He can do a bit better than that, so he'll be putting the pressure on himself at the end of this qualifying session. We have everyone out on softs now, so if you got a cider on some other compounds of tyres, but everyone knows that they need to get as high as they can.
Need to point out
this race.
Sorry, I want to point out as well, or just realised while Contrast was on his lap, they're heading into the final bus stop chicane and heading into the end of the Kemmel Straight. There's actually two braking boards that have been taken out, and they're both the 100 meter board, and that's normally where you want to brake. So as you'll see here, as we ride on board with high contrast, as he comes up to Lake Coombe, you can see there is no 100 meter board there, so it's going to be difficult for the drivers to pick their braking spots. And also, when you head into the bus stop chicane, so this could be interesting, and we're going to ride on board here with Dougie. As you can see, there's no actual 50 meter board on the left, but fortunately there is one on the right. So normally you want to turn in around that 50 meter area, and that can give some people a little bit of guiding through there. But now, as we can see, we're going to ride on board with Dougie Falcons as he starts his lap, as he heads into La Source for the first time. Hasn't set a lap as of yet in that 64 Toro Rosso car. Heads down the old pit straight. He now heads into El Rouge and Radion. Dougie Falcons is definitely going to be one to watch as well, considering he is normally very quick. He's very good at one lap pace, but unfortunately hasn't been able to convert that over into the races as of yet. As you can see, that's a racing point, get out of the way. So we'll have to see how he goes in the race as well as he heads into Lake Coombe. Does have a purple first sector there, did the Toro Rosso driver. So it's been a pretty good start to the lap as of yet. Did cut that corner a little bit there, fortunately got away with it. So now heads into this long right-hander, locks inside front, as it is very easy to do through there. And now heading up to the corner with no name. Normally want to mount that curb on entry and run it out as wide as possible. He now heads into Puon. Goes the Toro Rosso driver. As we see, Chandler is rooting for Dougie in the chat as well. We'll see what he's able to do.
Certainly is. And we probably should talk about a couple bit more tactics that we're going to see during this race, and we'll talk about them during the race as well. But we saw it in the global series in the tier 2 that you can really tail behind someone until the last lap, and it's quite easy to stay behind cars here and get in that DRS zone, and it can create quite a bit of a train. And we did see it in the Elite Series last year as well, where we had like about 10 cars very close to each other, and you just want to... Tactics are going to come into play a lot here.
Dougie goes into P3 now for Toro Rosso, just behind his teammate, 2/100ths of a second separate himself and Extra Evolution. Currently, they round out the top 3 in the qualifying session, but Josh M97 currently sits on pole position for Racing Point with a 42.8. Only 5 drivers at the moment have managed to get into the 1 minute 42 mark, so it's currently him sitting on pole position ahead of the 2 Toro Rossos, as we just said, of Extra Evolution and Dougie. Zach Crichton's holding on to P4 at the moment. It looks like he may have just finished his lap. He only managed to get into P4 there, did the Mercedes driver. CPL Bullerboy leads his teammate of VRT Chapelele in P5 and 6. Samuel Pepito in 7th for McLaren, ahead of the 2 Williams of Crossy and 40. And rounding out your top 10 will be Miku in that Haas car. As you can now see, Darren Levin has joined the session, but he will start from the rear of the grid for the Belgian Grand Prix. So I have to see what he's able to do. What's the championship look like at the moment, Chandler? So I'll, as the drivers are now heading into the pit lane, I'll quickly bring it up for you on stream. As you can see, Darren Levin leads the way at the moment, but he will be starting from the rear of the grid, as you said. If you just want to pause that and have a quick look at that. We're going to swap over back to the main screen now with 4 minutes.
Good time there from Bullet Boy. Up into 5th. He's been very unpredictable in his qualifying session, so he'll be happy to be up into 5th at the moment. I do expect times to drop, but not too bad from him there.
Not a bad lap there. As you can see now, Samu Pepito split the two Renaults there in P6. He's done a pretty nice job there to get ahead of the two Works Renault cars. We'll have to see how they go. There's 4 minutes remaining in the session. I'm going to swap this over to leader so we can see what the differences are. As you can see, there's 1 second separating our top 16. That's how close everyone is at the moment. So this is going to be a really good race to stick around for, considering a lot. If you can basically just stay within the slipstream. It's basically Monza, but a bit easier to stay within someone's slipstream, to be honest. It's a lot. I feel like it's a bit harder to stay in someone's slipstream around Monza, especially through the second sector, as it can the dirty air effect is pretty big, but I feel like it's a little easier to do around here. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. As I said, we tend to see large trains here, not only in real life, but also it's probably accentuated in the esports realm. We've seen it in the official esports and through the race spec series, where a lot of drivers can get caught in that DRS zone where they never really are able to escape 1 second ahead of the person behind them, and that's where the tactics come in, and we see drivers letting other drivers through, going wide on corners and things like that. So watch for the tactics when we get down to the last 4 laps.
And we're going to, talking about tactics here, we're going to have to talk about, well, on the topic, ERS and fuel management is going to be key around here as well, considering it is so easy to chew your ERS up just trying to catch up to someone. But then again, if you can get within that DRS and slipstream range, it is so easy just to save your DRS and not your DRS, your ERS around here. Obviously, you want to use it all pretty much through the first sector, and then you want to save it as much as possible through the rest of the circuit, as you can chew it up, heading to the source of turn 1 and then all the way down into Lacombe, down in turn 8, I do believe that is. Don't quote me on that, I think that's wrong. I'll quote you, turn 7 it is. Lacombe is turn 7, so I apologise for that, but it looks like a lot of the drivers now are out onto the racetrack. But need to point out as well, the other Mercedes driver, Plevs, is still yet to set a lap. He is now out on track for the first time in this session, so we'll have to see what he's going to be able to do. He's only going to get 1 lap in at this stage.
Yeah, but that's a tactic he generally does, so that's not unsurprising. He often doesn't set a banker lap and then goes for it right at the end. I must feel confident with that. So we'll have to wait and see what his time will be in a race spec helmet there.
It looks like Josh will be one of the first drivers to set their final runs here with 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining in the session. He comes up. El Rouge and Radion, he now heads. He's got a little bit of oversteer there on the final part of Radion. Managed to collect it up though. He's going to head down the Camel straight into Lacombe. He goes. He's going to be trying to spot his braking point right about now. As you can see, there's no 100 meter board.
High Contrast is bailed on his lap, so he won't be setting a faster time and will be right at the back of the grid. So I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe an invalidated, but he's in the pits now and he won't be setting another lap.
So unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, he's going to have to settle for P18 here this afternoon, but I'm assuming Plebs will go a little bit quicker than that, to be honest. We'll have to see what time the Mercedes driver is able to do. Let's see if he can get himself up to where his teammate is currently sitting in P4, because the Mercedes team are looking to turn around their poor performances so far in the series. In the first 3 rounds, they have had not really good results, and none of them have finished in the points so far, so they're going to be looking to turn that around this afternoon. But we're going to stay on board with Josh as he's about to cross over into the 3rd sector. He's 3/10 up on his time at the moment, Josh. So the track is really evolving at the moment as he now heads down this long straight. He's about to head into Blanchimont. So Josh is doing a really good job here. This is his first race, I do believe, in the PS4 Elite Series. So he's not doing too bad. He does have a car a little bit in front of him. That won't affect him too much. But he now heads into the bus stop chicane. Doesn't have a 50 meter board, but normally you want to break in between the 100 and 50 meter board, but he still gets it stopped. The exit of the bus stop chicane now, he heads up to the line. What time has he set? A 1 minute 42.7, so that's 0.3 of a second faster than Extra Evolution's times. That is very quick, but let's have a look now, see if we can find any other drivers that are ending their lap. It looks like Samu Pepito has finished his lap. Crossy has also finished his lap. He's only managed P9 in the end now. Unfortunately, didn't improve on his final run. 40 is coming through the final sector now. He's unfortunately down as well. Actually, no, he's just jumped up, so it is neck to neck at the moment between himself and his previous lap time. 6/100ths of a second separate himself and his previous lap time. That can jump you up a couple of spots here. We'll jump him up ahead of his teammate. Bullet Boy's up.
Bullet Boy's about to go across.
So Bullet Boy comes up to the line now. What time's he set? He manages to get in pole position. 2/100ths of a second faster than Josh M97's time. Really good lap there from the Renault team. Let's find another driver. It looks like Zach Ryan's finishing his lap now. He's going to come through the bus stop chicane. What's he going to be able to do? Opens the ERS, but he has no ERS available. Only manages P3 in the end there. 1/1000th of a, sorry, 1/10th of a second off the lap time, off the pole time. But Extra Evolution will be the next driver to come up to the line. What time's Revolution going to be able to do? He was actually down in the end, so he lost a little bit of time.
It was 0.17 up at one stage during his lap, so he's lost a lot in that third sector.
Dougie Falcons is heading through the bus stop chicane now. What time's he going to be able to do? As Swaggy jumps up into P3 now for 42.823. So what's Dougie going to be able to do? He comes up to the line, doesn't improve in his time, unfortunately, but looks like Spilly's going to be one of the last drivers to cross the line. Actually, no, he's backed out of it, unfortunately. So what about Aaron? He's down in P17 at the moment. He's coming up to the line. What does he manage to do? He only manages P17. Unfortunately, he did improve, but it wasn't enough. So that's look that my stuttering right now is not really good. That looks like it will be your race Spec F1 Esports PS4 Elite Series qualifying session done and dusted. CPL Bullet Boy takes his first pole position of the Elite Series Championship. Congratulations to him and the Renault F1 team. 2/100ths of a second separate himself and the racing point of Josh M97 on. They will take out the front row ahead of Swaggy and Zach Ryan, two of the quickest drivers in the league. So we'll have to see what they're able to do. Then you got the two Toro Rossos of Extra Evolution and Dougie, which round out your third row of the grid.
Yeah, really jumbled up grid. I'm really excited for this race now. You got Jumper Line in there in 8th with his teammate Samu Pepito. Chapalelo is very quick down in 10th there. Plevs managed to get himself in the 12th. 40 down in 13th. That's a story. Aaron is down in 17th. That's another story. Toddster's not slow either in 16th. So this is a super race that we've got coming up.
But I just need to point out as well, as we were just looking at on the screen, 7/100ths separate the top 17 at the moment. That is very tight between all our drivers. So that any little minor error from any of the drivers on that qualifying lap that they just had will drop them down massively in this session. But as we just read out, CPL Bullet Boy took our pole position ahead of the racing point of Josh M97. Then Swaggy 91, so 291 took it out for Alfa Romeo MP3. 5 different teams in the top 5, then being Toro Rosso, Mercedes, Alfa, Racing Point, and Renault. So can Zach Crichton take home the first points this season for Mercedes? Obviously, Plevs is all the way back down in P12, but you would think that it hasn't been a very good qualifying session for him, but he's only 4/10ths off the pace. That is not much at all. So it's going to be tight here for the Belgian Grand Prix, but we're going to let the drivers now head over to the grid. We'll be back with you shortly. All right. So as you can see now, the drivers are about to head out for their formation lap around the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. As you can see, they now launch away. That Renault car will lead the pack as they head into turn 1 on the formation lap. But definitely some key talking points as well. I don't think any of our predictions managed to get into the top 3. I obviously said Zach Crichton would take pole position, but he only managed to get 4th in the end. But it was very tight though, so I wouldn't say being on pole position means you're the quickest. Sorry, well, that doesn't really make sense. I wouldn't mean that you're much ahead of everyone, if you know what I mean. It's very tight between all our drivers, and just making the minimalist of mistakes in your lap there would have just got you up so many positions in the end, but we're going to have to see how Bullet Boy can hold on with the pressure. Obviously, he does have a very fast-charging Swaggy, Zach Ryan, Extra Evolution, Dougie behind them, so those four are very quick as well, and we'll have to see how Josh M97 goes in his opening round of the Elite Series as well, so we'll have to see how he goes.
Yeah, Bullet Boy's inconsistency has been the story of his championship so far. So if he can become a consistent racer, putting in those fast laps, lap after lap, he can hold on to this pole position and win this race. The first corner is going to be the talking point. A lot of those drivers between 10 and 20 are not going to be happy with the positions they're currently in. And the first corner can cause a lot of chaos. It's very tight in there. You've got to, especially if you're on the inside, you're trying to get your car turned around without hitting the people on the outside of you. It is very tough, and I expect a little bit of carbon fiber flying through the air.
We'll have to see how that goes heading into La Source, but hopefully all the drivers can keep it clean. It's pretty much guaranteed to be a safety car in this session as well, but let's get your top 3 predictions for the race as well, Contenma. I still reckon Zach's going to have a pretty good race. I reckon he's only going to manage to get P2. I reckon Extra Evolution's going to win this today. I reckon it will be Extra Evolution, Zach Ryan, and I reckon Bullet Boy will round out your top 3. What do you reckon?
Yeah, based off qualifying, I'm still going to stick with consistent drivers. I mean, Swaggy, Bullet Boy can be a little inconsistent, but they are very quick. So if they can bring it today, they can finish the race in first. But I'm going to go with Zach Crichton as well. Extra Evolution and Dougie's are in with a shot too. I like John Polainen down there in 8th. He takes care of his tyres extremely well and still manages to keep that high lap time. So watch out for him near the end of the race. He generally just jumps out of a little hole on the side of the track and hops on the podium.
So we'll have to see now. As you can see, the drivers are forming up on the grid. We're waiting for Darren 11, our championship leader, who starts at the rear of the grid. We'll have to see what he manages to do for the Belgian Grand Prix. He will be the last driver to form up on the grid. Let me know in the live chat as well your top 3 predictions for the Race Spec F1 Esports PS4 Elite Series, but we're waiting for the light sequence to begin. As you can see, it has green flags have been waved, 5 red lights for the Belgian Grand Prix, and we are underway. A very quick start there. The Renault gets a very nice launch off the line, but it looks like Josh had a better secondary launch. He's going to try and hang it around the outside. Heading into turn 1, but it looks like Bullet Boy is going to take the lead. Swaggy trying to get down the inside, and that's a Renault, I do believe, running off on the exit there. I think that was Chapelele, but he continues. It looks like Swaggy's got himself up into P2, but he's going to go side by side, heading up, ready on in the racing points, slotted in back behind. He's going to have a nice run on Swaggy, heading down the Kemmel Straight into Lake Coombe. They will head. CBL Bullet Boy leads away ahead of Swaggy 291 and Josh M97, who goes side by side heading into Lake Coombe, and they don't make contact by the looks of it. And Zach Crunch trying to make a move now around the outside, heading into that next right-hander. Does he get the move done? No, he doesn't. It looks like he's actually going to drop a spot here to the Toro Rosso of Dougie. Will he have the inside line? He doesn't know. He has to back out of it. So it looks like a very tame start there from the front runners. Dougie and Extra Evolution have held on to their spots. So has Spilly. Chapelele, I think, ran wide on the exit of La Source, but he manages to continue without damage. Then it will be the 2 McLarens of John Polainen and Samu Pepito.
Very clean start from everyone there. Everyone got through the first corner nicely. It looks like a few people are trying to make moves, but I think they're actually taking avoiding action, because a couple of drivers are getting very close to the back and having to bail out, and then getting really poor lines through the next corners, and that's having a concertina effect down the field. Now that they've spread out a little bit more, we probably see less of that. But a good start for Chapelele, even though he ran wide, but everyone else is generally in their positions, or 1 or 2 either way.
As the drivers head now through Blanchimont into the bus stop chicane, let's have to see. Well, they are now going to be starting their second lap of the Grand Prix. All the 2 Toro Rossos are going to go side by side. It looks like Dougie and Extra Evolution kind of screwed each other there, and there's the 2 Red Bulls at the back making contact of Aaron and Todson 99. I think those 2 just came together on the exit of the bus stop chicane. It looks like Darren Levin's going to get down the inside of Tots. They're heading into La Source. He gets the move done. Gets a little bit of oversteer on exit, but now eye contrast is all the way back down to B20 now. So, unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, it's been the worst of starts he could have possibly had.
And the chat saying there's Swaggy for the win. That's Chandler dropping that in the chat. So, everyone is getting very close down here in the straight. Still no real position changes, although we see down there that looked like John Polainen made a move, and he's in front of the Haas. And Miku was having a look as well, but we're generally in the same positions. X Revolution has lost out to Spilly though.
So it's still CPL Bullet Boy that leads the way. They're only on lap 2 already, so it's a very long lap. This is the longest lap that the F1 calendar goes to, sorry, the F1 circus goes to each year. But as you can see, the top 3 are just starting to edge away now from Zach Crichton and Dougie Falcons behind. Dougie's starting to cause a little train behind that Toro Rosso car. Then it will be Spilly behind him, who is currently in a Toro Rosso sandwich. Will he be able to get ahead of Dougie? I think Extra Evolution may have made a little error allowing Spilly to get ahead, but it looks like Dougie had a very poor run on the exit of that right-hander. They're now going to head up to Blanchimont. Will Spilly be able to make a move?
Get past Dougie here. And let's see if he's able to do it. He's very close to the gearbox of Dougie Falcons. He's still staying there, sticking with him, looking for a way past. Ducking right, ducking left, filling up the mirrors.
Oh, the Renault! Chapalele just made a massive deep. He went real deep into the corner. Unfortunately for Chapalele, I think he made contact there with John Polainen, and he tried to stick it down the inside, but unfortunately clipped the rear, I do believe, of Extra Evolution and spun himself around on the entry to the bus stop chicane. So now he is all the way back down in P20. So we currently have a Renault that leads the way and one in P20. So it's been a really good start for Renault, but also a really poor start for the other side of the garage. Swaggy still holding on to that slipstream at the moment of Bullet Boy. As you can see, they're already down to 10% ERS is Swaggy, so he's absolutely chewing that ERS up just to keep behind or within that slipstream and DRS of that Renault in front. But now that DRS is enabled as it is lap 3, I think we'll see him try and save a little bit more now as he heads through this next sector. You really want to just be running low at maximum just to make sure you can serve it as much through this sector so that you can have it full speed heading down the Camel Straight.
Yeah, Zach Crichton's at a low ERS as well, so he's been really pushing to stay with these 3 guys. He may have met his match here today as it's 1.5 seconds, and if he can't get in that DRS zone, these 3 are going to leap away from him.
Especially if they do start battling, though, that could end up working in Zach's favour, but Zach is no... Oh, that's an Alfa Romeo in the wall! Swaggy has retired from the session.
Gone.
He absolutely smacked into that wall. There's a safety car in the Belgian Grand Prix. This is the first safety car of the race so far for Swaggy 291 in the Alfa Romeo. It looked like he did it by himself. He may have just got caught in the dirty air of this CPL Bullet Boy in the lead. But that was a massive impact there from the Alfa Romeo driver. Hopefully he's all right in that car.
Now we're going to talk tactics here. Tactics, who's going to drop in for some mediums or even some hards? You don't want to go on hards here. They don't really work around Spa.
Oh, Josh is in the pits. Zach's in the pits.
Yeah.
Dougie's in the pits.
I was going to say, you've probably got 3 laps worth of safety car, so you're really looking at lap 6 of where your mediums are going to kick off from. And a lot of these drivers can look after them and go to the end. So let's see what they do.
I need to point out here the 2 Toro Rosso cars are going to be double stacking here. So Extra Evolution, Dougie Falcons currently will have the priority as he is first into the pit lane. But unfortunately for Extra Evolution, he's going to get held in. Looks like Dougie got held in the pits ever so slightly, and now they're only just about to start serving Extra Evolution. So unfortunately for him, he's going to lose a bunch of time here. He's going to get held massively in the pits, but it looks like our top 10 drivers all opted to come into the pit lane. So it looks like it will.
Stayed out.
And CPL Bullet Boy
stayed out.
So Bullet Boy stayed out as
really
well.
Poor. Yeah, that's bad for Bullet Boy. He may have just lost the Grand Prix here. I know that's a big statement, but if he comes in now, he's at the back, so he can only stay on those softs for another 3 or 4 laps. So really poor from Bullet Boy. He's put himself in a lot of trouble there. Yeah. On the hards, interestingly, Josh, the newcomer, and Zach have gone hards. Everyone else has gone mediums. Down the bottom, there's a few more hard drivers. Extra Evolution, Darren 11, and Chapalele, and tactics entire choice here are going to come in big time.
So I kind of agree with Zach Grinding going into the hards, because I honestly don't think the mediums are going to get to the end. So this could work in CPL Bullet Boy's favour. If he can edge away a gap between himself and John Polainen and just let the others battle, it could pay into his favour towards the end of the race. I think he will get jumped in the pit stops, but I think later on in the race, it's just going to come to him though, being on that medium tyre. If the safety car comes in very early, as you can see, we're only waiting on Todster at the back, so I think the safety car may even potentially come in this lap. We'll have to see. But if it does, I think the earlier the safety car comes in, it will be more preferable for Bullet Boy, so he can get a gap from the drivers behind. Plevs is now up into P4 for Mercedes. He obviously started on that medium tyre, so he'll be out for a little while as well. We'll have to see him probably out till around lap 15-ish, I reckon. We'll see him in.
He'll be hoping for another safety car as well as Crossy, the good guy, Aaron. They'll all be hoping for a safety car later on in the race. But we were talking about consistency before, and unfortunately Swaggy just doesn't have that lap-to-lap consistency. He's managed to crash out here, and it's caused chaos. There's absolute chaos. The grid is completely jumbled up again from qualifying to now, and this is going to be a really interesting race to the end.
So, first time penalty of the session has come under safety car from Matthew Dernier and Darren 11. It just popped up on the bottom of the timing screens as we just saw. Matthew got himself a 5-second time penalty from hitting the rear of Darren 11, so he may have a bit of front wing damage. Wow. He hit the rear of him, so I'm not too sure. Well, got in trouble for making contact, so I'm assuming he hit him from the rear. So Matthew looks like he's staying out, so he must not have that massive damage or any damage at all, but the safety car is staying out for another lap, and I think, if anything, is that in the pits? That's Todster and I Contrast into the pit lane now, so they're really not going to lose anything if they do come into the pits here, and they are both going on to that medium yellow striped tire. So they both come out of the pits. It looks like Contrast will jump ahead of Todster as well, so nice pit stop there from Ferrari. But CPL Bullet Boy leads Jumpalainen and Miku round out your top three under safety car conditions here at the Belgium Grand Prix. Let me know some more predictions in the live chat. We've only had so far Chandler. Let us know. Let us know some more in the live chat. Get talking.
Yeah, they won't lose too much eye contrast on Todster, but not too bad for them to come in there. They'll still be at the back of the train, of course, but they save a lap going around on those tyres. Tepalele's a big loser there after he had his incident on that chicane. It's probably helped him actually to come back into the race after he was a fair way behind and probably doesn't have any damage anymore.
Still under safety car conditions. Obviously, it is very long lap around here, but as you can see, CPL Bullet Boy already trying to warm up those tyres, obviously on that soft compound of tyre, so I think we may even see him push for an extra lap. We might see him even get around to that lap 9-ish, because he hasn't been pushing in the last 2-ish or so laps wearing those tyres out, so we could see him stay out for a little bit longer and then try and have super fresh mediums towards the end. We'll have to see what he opts to do.
Yeah, he could go to lap 9 or 10 here and then go on to the mediums. But yeah, he's in a really compromised position. I'm not sure, because if he does switch to the mediums and then there is a safety car, that'll switch it up again.
So this could really work in CPL Bullet Boy's favour, or it could just completely ruin his race here. So we'll have to see. The safety car is now in this lap, so CPL Bullet Boy will back them up. He will control the pace. There is no overtaking allowed until the control line, so he can go as slow as he wants all the way up to the start-finish line. So we'll have to see what he opts to do if he goes very early. As you can see, the safety car, that Mercedes AMG safety car, speeding off away in the distance. You see they'll all start to back up here, and as you can see, Jumpalainen's ready to go. He's right behind that Renault, waiting for him to get going. CPL Bullet Boy still warming up his tyres. I have to watch Plevs as well, see what he's able to do. Obviously, he's still on that medium tyre, but it looks like Bullet Boy's gone now. Bullet Boy has gone, so he has. Now,
taken off early, he might have caught some by surprise.
As he now heads into the bus stop chicane, goes a Renault. Still no overtaking permitted until the safety car line, so no one will be allowed to overtake. As you can see there in the background, some drivers were caught napping. As we are now back to green flag racing. As you can see, that looks like the good guy trying to make a move. Or he had a look at making a move on crossing into turn one. He was way too far back though, so he's going to have to sit back behind that Williams for another lap. I don't think any moves were made into turn one, but going to ride on board with Jumpalainen as he heads up El Rouge. He's not going to be close enough to make a move here on Bullet Boys. He already has a 7/10 lead ahead of the McLaren behind him. Miku's holding on to P3 ahead of Plebs, Crossy, Good Guy. Josh and Aaron are going to go side by side. And look at this. This is Zach Crane going to make it 3 wide. Heading down the Camel straight in the racing point. Swoops in to the lead of that little battle pack. He now gets himself into P7. Zach Crane ahead of Aaron as well, who's obviously on that medium compound of tyre. So Zach also on that hard, so you would...
Surprised with the speed, how much those hards had over the worn mediums. I mean, it should be around similar, but it does look like those mediums are dropping off very quick. Those hards don't look too bad at the moment.
So Zach Crane obviously on that hard compounded tyre. Swap this detail over to pit stop so you can see what drivers have made a pit stop so far. As you can see, currently the only drivers that have not made a pit stop is this man, Aaron L3F4, the good guy. Crossy, Players, Miku, Jump Line, and CPL Bullet Boy have all failed to make a pit stop as of yet. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. That's Bullet Boy! Bullet Boy has pinned it! Where we said before, there's another safety car!
That's another safety car. He's in the middle of the track. And he's taken himself out.
So
for the lead of the race.
As we were saying in qualifying, I pointed it out, if you just get a little bit of understeer through that fast right-hander, the wall comes at you so quickly. And unfortunately for him, it looks like he's done what I exactly just said. And he has now been, as it looks like now, that's the Mercedes of Plebs into the pit lane for his scheduled pit stop here. Unfortunately for him, Miku's also in, so unfortunately for him, he's going to drop way back down the order as everyone is super bunched up here, but he will be on fresh, soft tyres by the looks of it. Actually, what is he? He's going into hards, and his Mercedes team weren't ready there for him. Actually, no, it was a little glitch. Never mind. Sorry, it does that a couple of times, unfortunately. His team's not ready, so...
crazy if the computer weren't ready.
Yeah, the computer wasn't ready. But now Plebs comes out of the pits. What he's put on the hards. That is interesting. That's an interesting shot. He has to change tyres, yeah. But that's interesting there.
Aaron's on medium, so he's going to come in again.
So, well, Aaron's going to be hoping for a late safety car.
He's banking on another safety car, and Plebs is going to the end of the race. Miku went mediums too, so he's banking on the safety car. Chapalele and X Revolution mediums. So Plebs has really rolled the dice here and said, I don't think there's going to be another safety car at the end of the race. For the end of the race, John Polainen is still out in the lead of the race on the softs. So very interesting from John Polainen. I wonder what's going through his head now. On the softs, in the lead of the race, he has to make another pit stop, but he hasn't taken advantage of this second safety car.
So we're still waiting on the top 3 as of yet. 2 mega pit stop, then being Jump Line and Crossy and the good guy. So Jump Line, as we just said, is on that soft tyre. Crossy and the good guy are both on the medium, so they'll be out for a little bit longer, and they'll be wanting to put on that soft compounded tyre later on in the race. But at this stage, currently, the provisional leader of the race is Josh M97. Here's the first of the drivers that have made a pit stop ahead of Zach Ryan, who is sitting in provisional P2, ahead of Dougie Spilly, 40 Samu for P2, and Darren 11 Rene, your top 10. Matthew Dernier currently sitting in P11, and Todd Sturr and I Contrast are going side by side under safety car. I think Toddy is trying to get into Contrast's head here, just try and force him, or just trying to get him a little bit annoyed here, and I think he's actually succeeded because Contrast just got himself a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting under safety car, so that Ferrari driver is going to have to serve that 5-second penalty at the end of the race, and that's going to drop him down positions. Unfortunately for him, Miku's holding on to P14 at the moment, obviously just came out of the pits, and Plebs is in P15 ahead of Aaron VRT Chapalele, who's the first of the drivers that have made 2 stops in this Grand Prix, and X Revolution in the same boat. He's down in P18.
Yeah, just waiting for the safety car to come in. Is it going to possibly one more lap after this one, or are we coming in? I think it might be one more lap after this one.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for that to happen. But this race is, we've been stop, start, and we haven't really had a chance to stretch our legs and get any sort of tactics or jostling coming in. We've been doing a lot of safety car laps here. And there have been some serious shunts that have put these safety cars out, so you can't really say that they should have been virtual safety cars or anything like that, because both cars bounced back onto the track.
Still under safety car conditions here at the Belgian Grand Prix. But this has completely changed up the race now, really, having this second safety car. It's just, unfortunately for Bullet Boy, he was looking good, or he was either going to work that strategy real good, or it was going to go to a really bad state for him. But unfortunately, we won't get to know that now, as he has retired from the session after making a little mistake heading into the 3rd sector. So that's going to be a little bit painful for him when it comes to driver standings. I'm not too sure where he was sitting in. I'll let you know, he was currently sitting in P17 for Renault. He had not scored a singular point.
He's had a few crashes from good positions as well, and that's that consistency we were talking about. I just want to highlight in the middle here, there's a few drivers who slipped under our radar a little bit, but are sitting pretty sort of behind Josh and Zach Crichton here, and Dougie Falcon, Spilly, 40, Samu, Pepito. Even Darren 11 on the hards there, he might be in a really good spot on the hard tyre, not that far behind the effective leader of the race in Josh M17.
He's also on the hard tyres, Josh. Zach Ryan's on the hards. Dougie Falcon's on the mediums. Spilly's on the mediums as well. So it's going to be interesting to see here how those medium tyres end up going. The hards will 100% make it to the end of the race, but it's more if they can actually just keep the speed of the medium runners for Zach Ryan and Josh M97. So Josh is looking good here for a potential win here this afternoon, but we'll have to see how it goes. I think safety car will be in this lap. No, I think it's actually staying out.
Switched to hards.
I think the safety car's staying out.
Switched to hards, and he's right at the back. So he's 16 seconds behind. He switched to hards. So he came into the pit, switched to hards, obviously to get rid of that tyre change, because he was going to have to come back in because he went medium. So he still had one left. So he's obviously changed his mind, said, look, there might not be a safety car at the end of the race. I probably should put the hard boots on, see if I can go to the end of the race here and make up on some positions.
So I think Aaron's the reason that the safety car is still out for another lap, because he is all the way back down. The safety car tends to want people to get all the way, well, have all the grid really close to each other before it decides to get going. It doesn't normally like to leave stragglers halfway through the other side of the racetrack. So, and it looks like who's that? The good guys into the pit lane now. So the harsh driver into the pits. What tyre will he be putting on? We'll have to see what he opts to do. He's putting on the softs now. Is a good guy, so he's going to try and go to the end now. Aaron's back into the pit lane. So Aaron's in the pit lane again for his fourth stop, I do believe now. Third stop, rather.
Back on the mediums, maybe. I don't know.
So he's kind of 50-50ing it at the moment.
Yeah, back on the mediums to try and get back onto that strategy he's preferring and having that switch. So he's effectively made his tyre switch now. So this could be pretty smart from Aaron here. But he's got to catch up to the safety car, which it has to come in this lap. I mean, we can't go on with this game.
It's currently on lap 9 of 22. 13 laps remain in the Belgian Grand Prix. Everyone will be on, well, relatively fresh tyres besides John Paline and Crossy and Josh M97. We'll swap this over to tyre so we can see where everyone is on, or how old everyone's tyres are. As you can see, John Palin's is 8 laps old. Obviously, he did start out of the top 10, I do believe, so they were fresh at the beginning of the race, and they've been under safety car conditions for a little while, so I'm not too sure. This has kind of ruined John Palin.
John Palin started from 8th, so he's done all right there, but it's a bit deceptive, the lap count here, because when realistically he's done 8 laps on softs, but really, 3 racing laps on those softs?
Yeah, so there hasn't been...
He could go a long way on these. He could still go to 13, 14, 15, around there.
I mean, in the end, it's up to how his tyres are feeling. So, obviously, they should, in theory, be quicker than the drivers behind him. But if they're wearing off real quick, he needs to get onto that medium tyre, because they will comfortably get to the end now if he does opt to put those on. But unfortunately, he's kind of in a bad spot at the moment, is John Palinen, because his strategy is kind of going to be affected here. As now safety car is into the pit lane this lap, so John Palinen will lead the pack now. Will we see any other safety cars in the remainder of this Grand Prix? This has been our second so far. How many so we had one? Did we have a virtual? Yes, we did. So we had a virtual and 2 safety cars. So that's really 3 safety cars so far in this Grand Prix, and we've only had 9 laps completed. Well, really 3 laps of racing. But it looks like John Palinen's about to go. No, he thought about going now, I think. He kind of floored the gas, but now he's rolling all the way up to the bus stop chicane. So when will he go? I think he will wait till the exit of the bus stop chicane. He runs it out narrow so he can get the best possible exit, and he does go now. So John Palinen leads him away. He had a pretty nice start there. Crossy was caught napping. It looks like Josh Willie dug down the inside heading into La Source. Doesn't get the move done. He's right behind that gearbox of the Williams. Nearly makes contact, but it looks like Josh on that on that hard competitor tyres going to try and go down the inside. That was nearly an Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez heading down that short straight as they now head up Radion. There he goes. You can see the racing points right there. Had a little bit of oversteer. What is Josh going to be able to do? He heads down the camel straight. Crossy's trying to defend from it, but Zach Ryan's going to have the best seat to spectate this little battle here. But Josh is going to go well around the outside of Crossy F1 heading into Lake Coombe. Nice move there from the Racing Point. Zach's now behind that Williams car. He obviously does not want to let Josh get away, so he needs to get the move done as soon as possible. But we need to point out as well, Crossy just got himself a 3-second time penalty, so that's going to hurt him a little bit towards the end of the race, and I think Matthew Dernier did as well.
Yeah, Zach Crichton is all over the gearbox of Crossy here. He's just trying to work out how he can get past, having little looks all over the place, and filling up the mirrors of the Williams driver. And Crossy's, he's getting away there, Josh, from Crossy. So Zach's probably getting a little frustrated here, but he might have to wait until the next straight at least, or even till we go back through Radion. So very inconvenient, I guess, for the Mercedes driver at the moment.
As they head through the final sector now. On the 10th lap of the Grand Prix, John Polanen still leads away at the moment. 8 tenths, or nearly 9 tenths of a second separate himself. And Josh behind Crossy, holding on to P3 at the moment. Obviously has Zach Crichton right behind him. And Dougie will round out your top 5 for Toro Rosso on that medium compound of tyre. He looks like he's a little quicker at the moment. He's carrying a lot more speed into the corner compared to Zach by the looks of it. We're going to go back down to this battle for P14. And Plebs and Todster are going to go at it. Toddy looks like he's just slotted himself into P14 now ahead of the Mercedes driver of Plebs. There's a massive train in front of them though, led by Darren 11, who started from the rear of the grid, and he's already up into P9, so he's doing a pretty nice job at the moment, is Darren. He's got Matthew Dernier and Eye Contrast right behind him, the two Ferraris. Will Matthew be able to make a move here on Darren? He's going to have a slipstream, no DRS available as of yet, but he's going to go to the outside line.
Dougie Falcons, they're wheel to wheel around the outside. Oh, Zach's trying to hold on. And he was nowhere near the back of Crossy at the start of that and put himself under a lot of pressure on Dougie. He really got the job done. But in the end, he had the
Contrast, gone!
Flag.
Contrast
out of the race.
Out of the Grand Prix. So as we were just spectating, they were really starting to get racy between Matthew Dernier. Virtual safety car now. So the 4th safety car of the Grand Prix. We've had like 4 laps of racing now in this Grand Prix in total. So we did see that little battle between Darren Matthews, Chipolele and Contrast starting to spice up. I do believe they were about to go 3 wide, but we did swap over to the battle between Zach Crichton and Dougie. So unfortunately, we won't know what happened there between those guys. But unfortunately for Eye Contrast, he will be the 3rd retirement of the Belgian Grand Prix. 10 laps remain in the session as well.
It's going to be curse there. It is so hard to find what action to look at.
We're going again.
Side by side.
I'm just going to point out it.
Missed the crash.
Extra Evolution nearly rear-ended the back of the good guy heading on that safety car restart. He must have had a lot more delta compared to the other drivers, but we'll go back to that battle. As you were just pointing out, Dougie and Zach Crichton are still going at it. This is for the battle of P4. Obviously, Dougie needs to get ahead of Zach to make his strategy work. DRS is now enabled in the Belgian Grand Prix. After the 4th safety car, I think Zach locked up the inside front a little bit there, but Dougie obviously is on that softer compound of tyre compared to Zach, so he's going to need to get ahead of that Mercedes car if he wants his strategy to work, because he can't be affording sitting behind Zach for too long. As you can see, Zach ran really wide through El Rouge. Will he be able to get the move done here? He's going to go to the inside line now with Zach. Will he get the move done? Doesn't get it pulled up though. He's going to hold it there though, so he's going to swap to the inside line, and Zach Crichton, Crossy's trying to do it, and they're nearly going to get 3 wide heading into this next right-hander. Zach has the inside line. Crossy leaves in the room, but I think Crossy's going to have the better traction out of the corner. And they nearly made contact there. I think they just did it. Zach Crichton around the outside. Does he hit the wall? I think he does. And he's been pushed off into the grass. Zach Crichton's trying to hang it around the outside, heading to Puan, but they continue. No damage given. Really good racing here from the drivers. This is for the battle of P3, but Crossy's not giving any chances here. Obviously, they are on different strategies, but he's continuing to battle here. Obviously, he does have his teammate of 40 right behind that battle, MP6, so he's starting to catch up to the rear of Dougie Falcons in front of him.
This has just worked in the favour of Josh, who's now got a 3.3 second lead over Crossy, and he's right behind John Polanen, who he knows has to pit again. So Josh might be on here for a maiden victory. All the meanwhile, 40's just been following that action. He's dropped off a little bit now.
Dougie now. Dougie's going to go around the outside. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you here. Dougie's going to try and go around the outside of the bus stop chicane on Zach Crichton. So if he pulled that off, that would have been very nice. He hung it He went down around the outside through the first part of the chicane and tried to make it down the inside for the second part. He's going to go down the inside, heading to the source now. Goes Dougie Falcons, cuts that corner though, so he may have just got himself a warning. Zach Crichton really struggling here, trying to get past Crossy, and he's been caught napping because Dougie Falcons is now going to be right up his gearbox, heading up El Rouge and Radion. As you can see now, that's the other Williams. 40 around the outside through Radion, and he's going to make it 3 wide. Down the Camel Straight they go. Who's going to get the move done? 40 obviously has that inside line, and Zach Crichton has been left for dead here, and he's been pushed all the way back down to P6 from P4. So 40, one of the, and that's Zach Crichton making more contact there with Spilly. I think Spilly rear-ended Zach Crichton. There's another yellow flag, and that's Chapelele down in P17, I do believe, but we're going to hold on to this battle here for P3, and it looks like Crossy will now have his teammate right behind him. So will we see some games been played here? Will we see Crossy just move over and let 40 go in this Grand Prix? Obviously 40 did actually start out of the top 10, I do believe, with Crossy, so those two are doing alright at the moment to be into the top 5, but Dougie now has got ahead of Zach Crichton, and Spilly is right there as well for Racing Point.
Yeah, Crossy's done a fantastic job, a good exhibition of defensive driving, and he's holding onto that position. But now, as you said, will we see a little bit of team orders? These two teammates are good friends, and we could see Crossy move over and let 40 go through. But well, we never know. Crossy might just hold his position and go, look, this is race day and let's race. We'll have to wait and see. Dougie Falcon's doing a good job to stay on the back here of 40 as they catch right up to each other through the bus stop.
So I'm going to talk about here, as you can see, John Polina now into the pit lane of the Belgian Grand Prix. As you can see, it was looking like Josh M97 was going to try and make a move anyway on John Polina, but now he's going to drop all the way back down to P16. I do believe now that puts Josh into the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix with a comfortable 4 seconds between himself and Crossy F1. But the point here, I'm really want to know what Crossy's thinking is here, because Crossy is obviously on a completely different strategy to all these other drivers. So he does let 40 go here by the looks of it, and Crossy's going to slot back behind his teammate. Will Dougie go down the inside? Thinks about making the move, and he had to defend a little bit there from the Toro Rosso behind. There's still yellow flags, and I think that is Chapelele, who has retired from the Grand Prix. Now Dougie down the inside on Crossy F1. There was actually a massive amount of debris flying off the exit of Lake Coon there, so I'm not too sure if any drivers made contact, but it looks like these guys are going to hold position for another lap, as there's not many overtaking opportunities anymore until you get into the final chicane at the bus stop.
Yeah, really good race for Williams. This is turning out to be. We both started far down the grid next to each other, probably I think 12th and 13th around there. So they've done really well to get themselves up at the front of this Grand Prix, and 40's actually making a little bit of ground. Josh was 4.2 seconds ahead before, and now it's only 3.4. So 40 is lighting it up on these medium
yellow
tires.
flag, that's a Red Bull, that's Todster. Sorry for interrupting you there. Todster is off into the gravel, and he's really struggling here to get going. Does he have a little bit of an issue with that Red Bull car? So it looks
a lot of his wing.
Looks like he has lost his left end plate there on that Red Bull car, so he's going to be into the pit lane this lap most likely. So unfortunately for that number 40 Red Bull, his race and day is pretty much done. But currently leading the way on lap 15 of 22, 7 laps remain in the Belgian Grand Prix. Josh M97 leads the way for Racing Point ahead of the two, not Ferraris, the two Williams of 4022 and Crossy F1. Dougie Falcons is now going to the outside line, heading into Lake Coombe, and it looks like he's going to get the move done now. Is Dougie Falcons up into P3. He goes to Toro Rosso, and Crossy has been demoted.
There between Samu had a bit of contact in the background. I was watching.
He's going to try and make a move here.
Yeah.
Doesn't get it done,
Sorry,
though, unfortunately.
That was in the background of our screen there.
And it looks like now Zach Crichton's going to be side by side with Crossy. And Zach Crichton and Crossy did make contact there, wheel to wheel. But they still continue. I don't think either of them did get damaged. But now I think Crossy's tyres are really starting to fall off now. So they're 14 laps old as well. So they're really starting to fall off now. Are those tyres? Samu Pepito holding on to P7, as we were just saying, behind Spilly at the moment. Then it will be Matthew Dernier in P8, P9. Down 11 and rounding out your top 10 will be Aaron L3F4 Plebs. He's just got himself back up into P11 ahead of Miku in 12, Extra Evolution 13th, 14th. The good guy 075 jump line and rounds out your top 15, and at the rear of the grid is Toddson 99. Unfortunately, we've had 4 retirements from the Grand Prix. Both the Renaults of VRT Chapelele and CPL Ball Boy, Eye Contrast F1 and Swaggy. But now it looks like Crossy's into the pit lane finally, so he'll be putting on a set of soft tyres. Nearly speeds into the pit lane, but manages to slow it down just in time.
The story here is 40. He's only 2.5 seconds behind now, so he's making up a second a lap on Josh, so he's going to catch up to him very quick, and we're going to have a battle for the lead of the race soon.
Crossy comes into the pits. He's going to come out in plumb last. Sorry, well, not plumb last, actually. He's going to come out second last ahead of Toddson 99, who is heading through Blanchimont now into the bus stop chicane, but Josh still leads the way. It looks like Extra Evolution and the good guy have just swapped positions into P12, and now Miku and Plebs are going to go at it. Plebs has now been overtaken by the Haas car. He's going to try and hang it around the outside, though, as a Mercedes driver. Will he get the move done? Doesn't look like he will, so Plebs is going to be relegated back down to P11 after being overtaken by that Haas car. Got a little bit of oversteer.
So the good guy was having a look at Plebs then as we were watching that, and there was a little bit of contact. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got be a light yellow wing or something like that, as he did hit the rear wheel of Plebs. It's just dropped back a little bit because of that.
Zach Crimes now starting to catch up to the rear of Dougie Falcons, who's obviously trying to catch up to 40 now. So 40's actually reeling in Josh here. He's got that gap down to 2.2 seconds. He's obviously on that medium compound tyre compared to Josh's hard, so this could work in 40's favour, but then obviously in the end it could work badly for him. We'll have to see how that goes, but Josh is definitely set for the end of the Grand Prix. He won't have any tyre issues most likely.
I think 40 will go to the end of the Grand Prix. It'll just depend how much they drop off for him and if he's able to manage his tyres once he catches up to Josh. And that'll be the interesting part, is their race pace around that lap 20, 22, 21, 22.
On board with Spilly at the moment. Racing Point doing a pretty solid job at the moment in P5 and the lead, so they're doing pretty good at the moment in the constructors standings as well. Obviously they are sitting in P4 at the moment on 41 points, so they're going to be wanting to move up a couple of spots here this afternoon. It looks like Spilly's having a defense from Samu, so he actually locks up the inside front there, does Samu, so he manages to continue on though. So the McLaren driver tried to make a move on the Racing Point but wasn't able to get it done, and now Matthew Dernier is caught up to the rear of him. Will the Ferrari be able to make a move? Extra Evolution and the good guy just swap positions, and the Haas car nearly makes contact there with Plebs while rejoining the track. So I think the good guy, he does have front wing damage there, does the Haas car, so unfortunately he doesn't have any end plates on that car, so he's going to have to come back all the way around to the pit. Stompalainen pretty much pushing that Haas car through the corner with no name. So he gets himself up into P13.
Yeah, Zach's still all over the back of Dougie Falcons. It looks like these tyres are coming back to him a little bit now, and he's starting to really push that Toro Rosso driver.
I think
he's 1.1 seconds behind, so it looks like the battle here is mainly between Dougie and Zach.
I think Zach's teammate Plebs just made a little mistake because he's just lost the position to John Blind, so I think through Puon he may have made a little error there. Did the Mercedes driver? Does he have any front wing damage? Actually, he does. So Plebs has front wing damage now. The left end plate he is missing on that Mercedes car, so he's going to be into the pit lane this lap. So unfortunately for Plebs, he's going to have to come into the pit lane this lap with the good guy. So that's ruined his race, as there's now 4 laps remaining in the Belgian Grand Prix. It's going to be a tight battle here. 40's kind of stayed put at the moment, so are those medium tyres starting to go off now? He's holding it around that 2.5 second mark, as now Crossy goes fastest with the 1 minute 46.076 on that soft compounded tyre. So unfortunately for him, if a couple of drivers don't DNF in front of him, he will not get that extra point. But it looks like Aaron's now got ahead of Darren 11, and Samuel Pepito's got ahead of Spilly. So a couple of moves have been made in this Grand Prix. Matthew's trying to make a move now on Spilly. He's going to go down the inside now, heading into this long right hander. Does he get the move done? Very deep under brakes, and he gets the move done into P6. He now goes. Nice job there from the Ferrari driver.
Spilly just had a little look at him, tried to get him on the crossback, but it just wasn't on, so he's going to have to settle for a little bit of red in his visor for the rest of this race, so well, in the next couple of laps at least, unless he can get back in front of him down the next straight. And Sammy Pepito's gone under the radar in the McLaren there. He's having quite a good race up there in 5th. If he's got quite a lot of ERS compared to everyone around him as well. He's got 51%, whereas most other people were on 0 before. Few saves back up to 30%, so we might be in a little ERS saving phase, getting ready for a sprint at the end of this race.
So as you can see, Dougie and Falcon, we need to point out as well, these two are on different tyre compounds. Obviously, Zach is on that hard and Dougie is on that medium tyre. So I think the medium runners are now starting to feel the wears. 40's not really gaining anymore on Josh like he was, and Dougie's actually catching up to the rear of him now. So if Dougie can get within slipstream of 40, I think they're all going to edge closer to each other, and that's just going to be a massive battle here for P2 on the podium. But currently it is the battle of P3 between Dougie and Zach. Will Zach be able to make a move here? He's up into overtake. He's really close to Dougie now. He's going to have slipstream and DRS available, heading down the Camel Straight. He's going to go down the inside now. Is Zach Crichton up into P3? He goes, a very easy move there from the Mercedes driver. Gets himself up into P3 for the Grand Prix.
Yeah, nice overtake from Zach, and he'll now be looking at 40 as well, thinking might be able to get second on the podium here if his tyres drop off any more in the next 3 laps.
So Matthew Donia and Spilly are starting to form up behind Samu Pepito as well. This is for the battle of P5. They've currently got 1.5 seconds between Samu and Dougie, so we'll have to see if these two little battle packs here start to converge. Aaron's trying to catch up to the rear of Spilly as Miku now gets himself a 3-second time penalty in P10. So unfortunately, he's going to drop back behind John Polainen. But if you want to quickly check for us, Ken Tenmar, just the top 5 time penalties, that'd be great, just to see what they're all doing, seeing if anyone is under threat at all. But Josh leads away at the moment. Obviously, he's starting to edge a gap now. 2.7 the gap is between himself and 40.22. Zach Crichton holding on to P3 now. He's trying to catch up to 40. Obviously, he is on that hard compounded tyre and 40 on the medium, so 40 will start to feel the wears. They now start lap 20 of the Grand Prix, does Josh. 2 laps remaining in the Belgian Grand Prix. The good guy down in P16 has just got himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as well.
Dougie Falcons has 3 seconds, 40 has 3 seconds, and X Revolution looks like he has 3 seconds as well, but other than that, for the top sort of 4 or 5, that's it.
I contrast in the stream here. Had an incident with Miku. So Miku could be under investigation here for a potential incident with eye contrast. I'm not too sure what's happened to him. I'll go probably watch the stream back a bit later and see what's happened. But it looks like Matthew and Samu Pepito now are swapping positions. Yellow flag in sector 1 and 2. What's that for? Looks like that's Aaron now, unfortunately spun around on the exit of Lake Coombe. Or heading into Lake Coombe, I should say. He's now having to get out of the way of Extra Evolution. Does he have any front wing damage on that Red Bull car? Doesn't look like it, so he will continue towards the end of the Grand Prix. Josh M97 still holding on. He's now got that gap to just under 3 seconds.
Yeah, this is going to shake up the Constructors' Championship and the Drivers' Championship this race, because as we said at the start of the race, we had Red Bull leading the way on 53 points, and they're really struggling in 12th and 15th at the moment. Then we had Ferrari, Matthew Dernier right up there in 5th, but Eye Contrast has obviously crashed out of the race. Alfa Romeo struggling with Swaggy out of the race as well, and Darren 11 in 8th. We have Racing Point and Williams, so Williams are going to get a swag points here through 40. Crossy does have the fastest lap, so he'll be trying to get in the top 10. Racing Point are going okay here with Josh and Spilly. They could leap themselves right up, maybe even to the lead of the Constructors' Championship.
So the drivers now start the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Another thing here from Contrasted Constructors will be an interesting prospect now with Red Bull underperforming and Ferrari. So that will definitely, because the Constructors standings at the moment is Red Bull currently leading the way on 53 points, but unfortunately they've had a pretty poor race here this afternoon. So, and also Ferrari, as they are sitting in P2, so they're not going to pick up anywhere near as much points as I think they would have wanted to. Obviously Contrast has retired from the Grand Prix, and Matthew Dernier holding on to P5 at the moment, so he'll only take home a handful of points. Alfa Romeo in third at the moment. He's only got only Darren 11 currently remaining in the race. And then Racing Point look like they'll be taking home a handful of points, well, a bunch of points here this afternoon. Obviously, they are currently sitting in P4 at the moment on 41 points. It's very tight between our constructor standings at the moment. But also a very good big talking point is Zach Crudden will score the first points. His first points and Mercedes' first points of the season if he can keep it in P3 for this afternoon's Grand Prix. I do believe it is still Crossy F1 that has that fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So if he can get himself up into top 10, he will be able to take that extra point home for Williams and himself. But Josh,
the big problem here for 40 and Dougie Falcons is they have 3-second penalties, so they're going to drop a fair way down this leaderboard if it stays as it is, because 3 seconds is not a lot. You're going to probably get down to 5th, 6th place.
So Zach, by the looks of it, will get himself up onto the podium. So into P2, and it looks like that's the good guys. Unfortunately, lost it heading through the right-hander after Lacoum. And now he will rejoin all the way back down in P16. Will the good guy as Josh M97 starts the final lap of the Belgian Grand Prix for Racing Point. This is his, we need to point out as well, this is his first race in the Elite Series. So he's done a very good job as the Racing Point driver, Josh M97. He'll take home a bunch of points here this afternoon for himself and Racing Point. I'm not too sure where he'll come out in the constructor standings. He'll actually come out around that, or he'll be in the top 10 if anything. So he's done a pretty solid job here this afternoon if he can keep it on track. 40 has now got a second gap between himself and Zach Ryan. So will Zach be able to make the move, or will he just hold on to P3 here? Does he know that 40 has that 3-second time penalty? And Dougie also does as well. So he's going to drop at by the looks of it, behind Matthew Dernier. There's another yellow flag, and that looks like it's a good guy. Back down in P16 still. But this battle here still for P6. So P5 is still going on between Matthew, Samu, and Spilly.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because, you can get yourself up to 4th. Even 3rd or 4th or 5th here. So this battle is it's for a lot of points, especially with the drivers and constructors so close.
So we've just had our 5th retirement from the Grand Prix on the final lap of the, well, for him it was actually the penultimate lap. It was the good guy, unfortunately, retiring from the session. Toddy's now got himself a 3-second time penalty, but that's not going to affect him as he is in last place. But Josh M97 heads through Blanchimont. He goes now for the final time into the bus stop. He will head. Josh M97 heads through the final corner of the Circuit D Spa-Francorchamps, and he heads up to the line now. He's going to win the Belgian Grand Prix at his opening round for his championship. Congratulations to him and Racing Point. 40's going to jump back down to P3, and Zach Crudden up into P2 now for Mercedes. Great job from him. He will take home his first points of the season for Mercedes. He will take home a solid 18 points there. 40-22 in P3 in the end for Williams, ahead of Sammy Pepito in McLaren. P5 will be Dougie Falcons after time penalties, ahead of Spilly, Darren 11, Jump Line, and Miku, who has a question mark next to his name. After that incident with eye contrast, we'll have to see what the stewards end up doing with that. Matthew Dernier ended up coming home P10. He'll take home one singular point for Ferrari. Aaron L3F4 came home P11 ahead of Crossy F1 and P12. Plebs will come home P13 in the end. Unfortunately for him, a disappointing result. Debut win, that's the right word. Thanks, Contrast. That's been a very... Sorry, you go.
Very good debut win for Josh. And Zach did well to come back. A lot of pressure on Zach today, and he managed to get that second position. Right under 40 as well, coming from well down the grid to get himself onto the podium. So congratulations to those guys. I think we're going to try and get some in for a couple of words. Is that right?
Yep, So yeah, we're going to try and get some people into the party real quick for you guys for some post-race interviews. We'll try and get our top 3 podium getters into the party for some post-race interviews, as I just said. But here are your provisional results for the Belgian Grand Prix for round 4 of the Race Spec F1 Esports PS4 Elite Series. Josh M97 wins on debut for Racing Point. Congratulations to him. He comes home ahead of Zach Ryan in P2. P3 will be 40-22 ahead of Sammy Pepito, and rounding out your top 5 will be the Australian of Dougie Falcons. Then it will be Spilly Darren. Then it will be John Polainen in P8. P9 will be Miku and Renier. Top 10 will be Matthew Dernier ahead of Aaron, Crossy, Plebs, Extra Evolution, and Toddster being the last of the drivers finishing the race. And unfortunately for the good guy, Chapelele, Contrast, Bullet Boy, and Swaggy, they all retired from the session. But we're going to, as I said before, we're going to try and get a couple of drivers into the party for some post-race interviews. Stay tuned. We'll be back with you shortly.
Okay, we are back here with two podium takers in 40 and Zach Crichton. Welcome to the stream, guys.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll start off with Zach since you came in second. Tell us a bit about your race, especially those safety cars at the start of the race.
Yeah, that was a crazy race, to be honest, with two safety cars, I think it was. But yeah, so pitted when that first safety car came out for the hards, which was the wrong choice, that's for sure. So yeah, it was not ideal there. Then stayed out, and then the second safety car came. Then yeah, I just stayed out on the hards. There was real no point in me pitting. And then yeah, I think I was about P4 or P5 on the restart, and then got stuck behind Bailey's teammates, Crossy, for 3-4 laps. Had a nice battle there with him, and then yeah, finally got past, but it was way too late to catch up to Josh. But yeah, I was really happy with my pace, and then tried to go for a lunge on Bailey because I saw he had 30 seconds, so I thought, why not? Why not just have a little bit of a go here? And yeah, that didn't work out, but still got it on penalties, which was nice, so I'll take that.
Yeah, the hards really put you under a lot of pressure, it looked like from us, especially from the Toro Rosso behind, while Crossy was sort of holding you up. You're also having to look in your mirrors a lot.
Yep, there was some fierce defending going on there, some late braking, things like that. But yeah, the hards just had no grip whatsoever. So I was just trying to keep all the mediums because I knew that they would slowly come back to us. But luckily that happened towards the end. But yeah, it was a great race.
And 40 will bring you in now. You qualified outside of the top 10, so really good effort to get yourself on the podium. But you were catching up to our race leader in Josh, but then you appeared to stall. Did those mediums sort of go off around that lap 18, 19?
Yeah, I think I got past Crossy at about probably would have been half race distance, maybe lap 13 or 14. And yeah, for the first 4 or so laps that I got past, I was gaining probably about, I think it was 3/10 a lap or something like that. But yeah, I guess once my mediums hit the wall, they they just lost all pace. But no, Crossy did a great job to help me out anyway. So I think he put me in the position I ended up. So without him, I think it would have been a lot tougher to be where I am.
Just on that note as well. Sorry, with so I'm going to interrupt you here. Just on that point as well, Zach, how frustrating was it being behind Crossy there and just being backed up into 40 really, and then unfortunately 40 got ahead of both of you in the end, and obviously Crossy, being teammates, they both led each other through, but obviously that must have been a bit frustrating for you, being held up and not being able to get past.
Yeah, that was kind of frustrating, but yeah, like I said, it was a great battle. I was trying to be fair, just hard and aggressive, but in the end, finally just got the job done. Thought I'd not leave as much room, which is what I did, and yeah, got it done. But yeah, it's
pretty saccharine thing to do. But anyway, yeah. So that has been your Race Spec F1 Esports PS4 Elite Series here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Thank you guys so much for joining the party chat as well. Saw some post-race interviews, and thank you so much for you Contendma for joining me as well in the commentary box. It's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream as well. My name is Expert, and I will see you guys next time.
See you later, guys.